It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful Monday in Nashville, Tennessee. Let me take a guess here. I'm going to say mid-50s, although I don't know that. But I know it's pretty darn nice. 56 at the moment. All things considered in mid-February, not bad. Let's check in up in Murfreesboro, where the temperature may be different, although probably not much. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. 56 is good with me in February. I'm good with that.
I want you to know that I missed you Thursday and Friday. I don't think Billy did.
I figured Billy didn't. Billy's he can be a punk at times, but it's okay.
Really?
That's what I like about him. You know what I'm saying? He's got a little punk in him.
Okay. Billy, is that true?
I'll say this. Kelly, 4 days. I said last week, 4 days of Kelly was perfect. It's like, and then now it's like, okay, 3 days. I'm like, start getting closer and closer. Are we just going to start doing 3 day weeks, 2 day weeks?
And then finally I get moved out. Is that what we're saying?
Well,
no, it was definitely, we had to talk more. I mean, it was me and George.
Billy, did you miss me, Billy?
Yes, I did, Kelly. To be
that's
honest,
not what you said.
Thursday.
That's not what you said.
Well, Friday was normal, but
right.
Thursday initially it was okay. Kelly's not here, and then you go a whole show without Kelly, and it's like, man, this isn't as easy.
Right. But you ordered.
Excuse
me. You ordered a round for everybody on Wednesday.
Oh,
what? What are you talking about?
You went to the bar and ordered a round for everybody.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that nobody was here, So
that's great.
I just thought I'd share that.
Nice.
So,
mommy won't like that, Billy. She won't like that. She won't give you any more warm milk. I'm glad. Is your sore throat and everything? Is it okay? Is it cool now?
It's good. Everything's
good.
Now. Yeah.
Do you have an update in our future?
God, not much of one.
Really?
I don't even know. I mean, we had the All-Star game. We had Tennessee throttling Vandy. First off, on the All-Star game, NBA came into this All-Star game saying, "Okay, we'd like to see more effort. I think we're going to see a good game."
Yeah.
What an absolute joke that thing has turned into.
Yeah, it's a joke. What was it? 211 to 186?
Oh, it's just a joke.
Oh, you're kidding, dude.
I mean, it's been like this, but go back even 10 years ago, it was not this much of a joke.
Oh, it's been a joke for a long time.
It's been a joke for a while, yes.
I mean, how long? But I feel like even not super long ago, I'd be looking forward to watching the All-Star game.
I have never paid any attention to it. Let me say,
back in the 90s, though, George. Back in the 90s, it was competitive back in the 90s.
Yeah,
but that's about
Billy wasn't alive.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, you're acting like you've never watched it. I mean, the All-Star game used to be.
I have never wasted the time.
That's
they don't
a lie.
play a lick of defense.
In the 80s and 90s, you watched it.
I paid no attention.
Yes, you did.
Are you putting words in my mouth?
I watched it back in the 90s, Billy.
I mean, if Kelly did, George, you had to have some interest in it.
No, none.
Wow, George.
George is a brick wall today.
That's really that's disappointing.
I probably watched CSI in New Orleans. So give me that score again.
211 to 186.
Good Lord.
Adam Silver's acting like he's annoyed by it, but he's not.
No, I think he is.
Well, he is.
He hasn't done anything to stop it.
Here's the thing. Well, the obvious
Try
answer
something other
is
than what they've been doing.
you give them money. They don't need the money.
No, they don't care to do
this
that.
is a pride deal. But I also get the fact they don't want to get hurt because they got a lot more at stake. Then I guess my point would be, then bag it.
Bag it.
Bag it.
Hey, just name the NBA All-Star team and who's the all NBA, whatever, and going about our business.
I mean, look,
who cares?
We've basically done that with football.
Yes.
We now have.
That's what I'm saying. Silver hasn't tried to do anything like that.
No, but I think in the NBA, the only thing that would improve it is money. That seems to be the only, and that's sad to say that.
But play like, a game to 20, like a tournament of 21. You know that game, or
Whatever.
3-on-3, just something else than this crap.
Billy, this is Green Hills Y.
I'm saying
there's better competition in the 4-on-4 run and shoot that I used to play in, where I was accused once, Kelly, of not playing sufficient defense.
Did that guy understand that you really you really can't play sufficient defense? Did he understand that?
What I told this person was, I'm 32 and I really don't give a damn. I just want to score some points, have the satisfaction of that, and otherwise I don't really care.
That is awesome.
You'd fit in perfectly in the NBA also.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's see. The AP poll for hoops.
So did we solve the All-Star thing?
All I'm saying is that they need to try something different.
Bag it. Get it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just don't have it. That's the only way you do it.
Dud number 1. NBA All-Star game. What else?
I don't see how the NFL is getting away with that garbage they're doing. That, hey, it's the Pro Bowl. What is their wording for it? The Pro Bowl.
The Pro Bowl games.
Reimagined. Yeah. The Pro Bowl games reimagined.
The bottom line too is all of these All-Star games are jokes. No one cares. The players don't care. Even in baseball, I do think
the baseball one though is closer to watchable than any of the rest of them.
Yeah, but still, I mean, there's no, if you win the All-Star game in baseball, what does it matter? There's still nothing to really play for. I think that's what's lost. There's just
league pride.
Players don't care. But yeah, baseball, I mean, they got the home run derby still, and it feels like most All-Star game crowds are still pretty good.
So, okay, let me ask this. Let's get to the basketball version of the baseball home run hitting is the slam dunk. But I read a lot of stuff, and I don't disagree with it, that we've seen every dunk just about that's humanly imaginable.
There's nothing else you can do. It's like a curl route. How are you going to call it? A curl route, a stop route, a button route, a hook route? What are you going to call it? I mean, there's only so many ways you can skin. Yeah, there's only so many ways you can skin a cat, man.
Jaylen Brown, apparently, people were not happy with his effort. I think he dunked over a guy that was like 5'2". So that's a good point about the dunk contest. I mean,
look, unless you raise it to 12.5 feet, I don't know. It just seems like coming out of the Dr. J era, the ABA had an unbelievable slam dunk deal where he just blew everybody away. But the problem is now that's been 35 years ago. And we've seen all of that now.
The ABA.
It does not have the effect it used to.
No. Also, the AP poll for college hoops this morning is out. UConn number 1.
By a mile.
After destroying Marquette. Number 2, Houston. Number 3, Purdue. Drops 1 spot after losing yesterday to Ohio State, who's been awful this year. Well, maybe not awful, but they did just fire their coach. We'll get into that. Number 4, Arizona. Tennessee moves up 3 spots to number 5 after dismantling a putrid Vanderbilt team.
Yes.
So anybody that said it couldn't get worse for Vanderbilt this year was wrong, because it did on Saturday. And we will get into that as well.
So has he not been fired yet from that disappointing performance?
Not that I'm aware of. Now, let me say this. There are rumors flying right now. And let me say rightfully so. You talk about non-competitive, 82-40, 62-27. Nice start, 29-6. It's disgraceful.
Yeah, it's been bad most of this season. They obviously, you get blown out at home by Kentucky. They've had other bad losses, but this one felt a little bit more impactful, because they had just come off a win against A&M. And a lot of the talk was, okay, if you can go into Knoxville and, be competitive and maybe even pull off a win, which we didn't think was going to happen, but that could kind of stabilize it a little bit. Again, I'm not saying it would have, but the fact that they lost, they were down 51-20 at the half, and Stackhouse showed zero emotion. He was sitting down on the bench pretty much the whole game.
He looked completely disinterested, which has spawned a lot of the rumors that are out there that people believe he knows they're trying to buy him out. Let me say up front, I don't know that. I don't have any proof of anything like that. Do I think it needs to happen? Hell, it needed to happen 3 months ago.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's more of the same for Vandy. I just think it's a matter of time at this point. Let's see here. Some baseball news. Liam Hendriks has agreed to a 2-year deal with the Red Sox. Sources told ESPN.
Interesting.
Let's see here. All-star reliever. He's going to bounce back from Tommy John surgery, so see what happens
He's
there.
also a cancer survivor.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that.
What kind of cancer you have, George?
I don't remember.
Wow.
I apologize for that. I don't remember.
Oh, it's okay. That's pretty rough though, man, when you go through something like that and you beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for athletes. I feel like that's pretty rare for anybody, of course, to come back and beat it. But athletes to come back and play your sport. Hendricks, I don't know how old he is, but that can't be easy mentally, physically. I can't imagine that. Especially kind of makes you think of Alex Smith. Obviously he had something maybe even worse and harder to come back from with that gross knee injury. But man, these athletes, Kelly, a lot of these guys are just built different, and they, like Hendricks, probably saw this as, I'm going to come back and I'm going to play again. This isn't the end for me.
Yeah, that's big, man. When you get cancer, you talk about Alex Smith, man. He had that's why it always scares me nowadays when you go into a hospital, man, because they've used antibiotics so much that the staph infection. That's what he got. He got a staph infection in his leg, and they started. I had a friend that had that almost died, man. They just started cutting him out with knife, just trying to stop the infection, man. They finally did it, but that's exactly what happened to Alex Smith, and for him to even get back on a football field was miraculous.
Total miracle. You're right. Yep. Excuse me. After the break, think about all the stuff that's been floating around. NCAA in Tennessee, NCAA in Virginia. Sort of lost in the shuffle has been the Florida State lawsuit with the ACC. We're going to check in on that with Plaster intern extraordinaire Butch Samide. Stay tuned. Some interesting info coming.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. We welcome all of you back. As promised earlier, we're headed down to Tallahassee, Florida, where plaster intern extraordinaire Butch Samide joins us. Butch, first of all, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, of course, George. Always a pleasure.
So, lost in the shuffle of Tennessee's latest battle with the NCAA is another one going on. It involves your school, Florida State, and their ongoing legal battle with the ACC. Butch, where is that right now?
So right now, not quite to the point of it going to court at any pressing moment. There's been a couple amended complaints, and the most of the litigation right now is going towards where this is going to be held. It's going to be at the district court, and if it's in the U.S. District Court of Florida, it'll be held in Tallahassee. And then on the ACC side, they're saying they want it held in North Carolina, closer to the headquarters. So as you can imagine, if there was a court case around Florida State athletics held in Tallahassee, Florida, you kind of see where that one's headed. And then obviously with the ACC headquarters in North Carolina, you can also see where that one's headed. So I kind of believe that this will ultimately go down to the Court of Appeals. If it goes to court, that's also a pretty big if. Now, you can't appeal a decision just strictly off the basis of, hey, that was in Florida and we were dealing with a Florida school. But there's a lot of different complaints among the two, and there's valid arguments from both sides. But personally, I wouldn't be surprised if this one ultimately didn't end up going to court.
Butch, to refresh everybody's memory, Florida State wants out of what is a long-term television rights fee that they would owe to leave the conference. And the ACC saying, no, you agreed to this. Is that basically the crux of it?
Basically, and the main term that you're going to hear is grant of rights. So there's already an exit fee that's within the ACC. That's kind of standard. Every conference has an exit fee. But what's different with this ACC case is the grant of rights, which basically says you can leave, but the ACC still holds your television rights. So basically, any money that you'd be making from your TV rights, your media rights, would still be going to the ACC. So that is what mainly Florida State is arguing against. And I think that they're going to just try to push that this is punitive damages. You can't have damages within a contract that's meant to punish. That's why you see, for example, like head coach contracts. If a head coach leaves, they only owe what was left on that contract. You can't say, oh, well, if you leave this school, you owe us $1 billion, right? Like that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's along that same lines. Florida State's going to be saying, hey, you already added 3 new schools. You have a bunch of schools within this, and it's not like you were fighting for the financial betterment of all the schools to begin with. So for you to say, hey, you leaving is $450 million plus you not making money off of your athletics, that's just not within, reasonable damages in this breach of contract.
So help me with this. Did I see the date 2036 is what Florida State's alleged to have agreed to?
Yeah, so I don't know the exact year. I do know that it's still 10 or more years in the future that this contract will extend to. And that's part of the main, issue that the Florida State has. They pulled back the different articles and, news and, net worth estimates and said, hey, when we signed this, the ACC and the Big Ten were here, neck and neck. Obviously, the SEC was still a foot above, but the Big Ten and the ACC were right here. And since then, we haven't gone back to the negotiation table to get that money that we deserve. And now it's like the SEC, the Big Ten, and then the ACC is way below now. So that's another part of Florida State's complaints is you haven't fought for your schools. So as a conference, that's not leading in good faith on all these schools that you're supposed to be arguing for. So to continue that along these next 10 or however many years into the 2030s, that's just not financially possible to keep your schools competitive.
So is this strictly to go to the Big Ten, or is there an SEC element that none of us know about?
If I from everything that I've heard within, I'm a sport management student. I'm around a lot of sport people. All of my classes are held where Florida State volleyball games are played. It's in the same building, so I'm around a lot of different sport voices, and everything points to the Big Ten. I forget the name of it, but there's a form of academic, ranking that a lot of the Big Ten schools have. It's not a requirement, but, it definitely would help a lot of Big Ten schools have it. Florida State's fighting for that currently to get nationally recognized within that caliber of schools, to be able to go to the Big Ten. Everyone that I know that would be speaking to people that are genuinely in the know are all pointing to the Big Ten. That might be because there's a current lack of interest from the SEC. That might be because the Big Ten is just more willing to have Florida State. In terms of those, if this is settled, if we're looking at this and Florida State's finally out in, let's say, 2026, it's kind of hard to then say, oh, it's still Big Ten for sure because things change. But yes, right now, if Florida State left today, I would have, 100% confidence that it would be going to the Big Ten.
Is this simply because the SEC has decided for some reason that, because I've always thought going way back that Florida State and Clemson, perhaps North Carolina, would be the ones that make the most sense for the SEC. But I never hear that.
Yeah, and I think it's because the SEC is, so spread out in the South. Right now, SEC packages are already all over Florida because they have the University of Florida. It's all, SEC media packages are all over South Carolina because they have the University of South Carolina. So in that regard, the SEC doesn't have much to gain. But from what I've thought, since Florida State has been making these rumblings for a couple of years now saying, hey, we want to leave, I thought it was in the SEC's best interest because if the Big Ten gets, let's say, those three schools you named, Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, that at that point they are the NFL. They have their West Division, their Midwest Division, their South, their North. It's the NFL at that point. They have Fox, ABC, NBC. At that point, they're just the college version of the NFL. And that would be dangerous for the SEC because then you look at the Big Ten media negotiations and what market do they not hit? Whereas the SEC, obviously big brands, Alabama, now Oklahoma, Texas, Tennessee, all these super big brands, and you can't argue against what the SEC is built. But if you get the Big Ten now in the South, I mean, truly, I feel like that would propel the Big Ten to then being the biggest conference, in college athletics. So that's why I thought the SEC should be interested. But I mean, looking at it from the other side, it's hard to see a future where the SEC isn't either the biggest conference or just slightly short of that. So it might be the SEC saying, hey, we're getting Oklahoma and Texas right now. Let us figure that we're losing Nick Saban. Let's figure this mess out real quick before we accept any more schools, because I think once Florida State leaves, there could be a Pac-12 situation within the ACC where all these schools start to, jump ship. But once again, down the line, SEC could be interested, but I just think that genuinely, they're fine staying put because they know what they have.
Okay, let me ask a couple of sports questions. Florida State basketball has been a perennial NCAA tournament team. It sure doesn't look like it this year. You've got one of the oldest coaches in Division I in Leonard Hamilton. Am I not right that they've got him under contract for several more years, and he's, I want to say, 73?
Yeah, I mean, Ham's up there. I'm under the personal assumption that this is his last season. It's not like I was told this by an administrator. I have no evidence to back this claim up. But you look at it, Florida State's kind of been on the decline for a couple years now. Ever since that post-COVID year where they had guys like Scotty Barnes, leading the team, making the NCAA tournament, getting to the Sweet 16. It just hasn't really been the same. And they just hired a younger coach, an assistant, Coach Nickelberry. I'm forgetting his first name, but he was at LSU and he led them to having top 5 recruiting classes, and that was early transfer portal years, and he had great transfer portal recruiting classes there. Then he goes to Georgetown, and Georgetown's been a wreck too. And last season, Georgetown had, I believe, a top 3 transfer portal recruiting class. And so then he comes to Florida State, and so he kind of came late. So really this next offseason will be a chance to see what kind of recruiter he can be at Florida State. But I personally think that was a hire just to kind of get him in line to eventually take Ham's spot. But I think just a combination of the lack of success and the lack of recruiting success within the program has just kind of driven it to a downward spiral. And also part of being in the ACC, the one positive is you play a bunch of good basketball teams. And so you're still having to play this last week, or just yesterday, just played Duke. And before that, North Carolina, Clemson, Virginia, all of these good programs. And it's like you're running the gauntlet And if you don't have the guys, it's going to become evident. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is Coach Ham's last season. I don't think he sees the end of his contract, not because of athletics kind of pushing him out, but like you said, he's 73. And in these transfer portal, NIL, constant recruiting schedule, it's a lot. So I would not be surprised if Ham stepped down to let a younger coach take the reins.
Football had a great year, but a weird ending because of the Jordan Travis injury. Had no offense in the ACC title game, so the committee didn't put him in. Then they get left for cannon fodder for Georgia, who was pissed off at losing to Alabama in the SEC title game. Does Florida State get back to that level next year?
Yeah, I'll tell you this, George. I'm actually an intern with the football strength and conditioning staff. So I've gotten to see, the talent that's coming in firsthand. And I got to tell you, this Florida State team will obviously be different. So I'm not trying to say that it will be the same 13-0, like storm of a season that we just witnessed from Florida State. But I do think that they will be incredibly talented. You lose Jordan Travis, but you bring in DJU, who's as experienced as anyone in college football. So you're trading off one fifth-year quarterback for another. And
yeah,
with
but
Mike
there's a
Norvell,
huge drop off.
oh yes, in talent. I'm not saying that once again, I'm not saying they're the same player, but you see the difference when you go from a fifth-year guy to a guy that's never started before, and Tate Rodemaker against Florida, and then true freshman Brock Glenn in the ACC championship in Georgia game. So you're bringing in a quarterback that has loads of experience under his belt and a cannon of an arm, which is a staple in the Mike Norvell offense. Then you bring in on the offensive side, in terms of weapons, just speedsters across the board. Now, once again, does this roster have a Keon Coleman? No. Does this roster have a Johnny Wilson? No. But what they do have is more speed. So I do think that if you look back at those Norvell Memphis teams, that was a staple in their offense, having a bunch of fast, dynamic offensive players. And so I think that Norvell is going to be very comfortable calling plays this season. And my main question is with the defense. You get some returners in the secondary. You get a returning linebacker who is arguably our best linebacker from last season. And you lose a bunch of defensive lineman talent. I mean, Jared Verse, really the pivotal part of our defense last year was getting to the quarterback. But you're still bringing in transfers. You have transfers. I mean, I believe 6 transfers from Alabama coming in, and then you have guys, Tomi Adurije from West Virginia, who was an incredible edge rusher for them last season. Florida State's going to have. So I personally believe that once again, a weaker ACC schedule. You still have to play Clemson. We'll go at Notre Dame. So those will be interesting games. But really, when you get down to it, we probably play 3 games that are kind of toss-ups in terms of, this team is as talented as us. And it comes down to who plays better that day. But, I mean, I don't see a huge drop-off. There'll be less NFL-ready talent, but I do think that there's still going to be a lot of college football talent.
This past year, you all opened neutral site in Orlando with LSU. Who do you open with this year?
We will be going to Ireland, Ireland to play Georgia Tech.
Nice.
I believe that's technically a week 0 game. I believe so because on our schedule, I think we technically
August 24th.
Yeah, I believe we have 3 bye weeks in our schedule, so I think it lines up that game pretty much has to be a week 0 game. But yeah, that'll be interesting for sure. Big time change. I believe it's just the second or third college football opener in Ireland. So yeah, we get to play in Ireland. We get to play Notre Dame. I mean, it's all Irish.
Do you get to go?
No, I will not. I won't be going to I won't be going to Ireland. Unfortunately,
Superman stays home.
school can't be transferred to Ireland quite like football can, unfortunately.
Yeah. Butch, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, of course, George, always.
Plaster intern extraordinaire, Butch Samide, joining us on the show. We'll take a break, come back and talk some SEC basketball as the Plaster Show continues right after this.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com and be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank and Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank and Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, I didn't mean to lie. The thing with Butch got taped yesterday. So we'll get to the SEC hoops at the start of the 3 o'clock hour. Do you guys think the SEC is making a mistake to just hand over Florida State to the Big Ten?
I do, absolutely. When he was talking about that, I don't know, and I'm thinking too, like if those three teams leave, is the ACC, like he said that he felt like that it would be another Pac-12 situation. Is that what we think too? I mean, if North Carolina, if Clemson, and Florida State leaves, like where does the ACC go? There's nowhere for them to go. So I believe they're making a mistake because Florida State's a powerhouse and always has been a powerhouse. Now they've had some down years the last 10 or 15 years, obviously after Bobby Bowden has left, and Jimbo Fisher took them to the he took them to the national championship game and won with Jameis Winston. But since then, there's been nothing really going on down there. But I think that's just I know he said Florida was the market that the SEC wants. I mean, they got the Florida, obviously the Florida brand and all that. But I think Florida State, it's just obvious that they're going to, they're going to the SEC. I would think that would be an obvious move for them, an obvious move for the SEC, because I think Butch is right. Like, if you look at what the Big Ten's doing, like the Big Ten is trying to make it like the NFL. I mean, they've got North teams. Now they're going to have East teams. Then they'd have South teams. And then how about West teams? So that's they seem like they've got their strategy well thought out. I'm sure the SEC does too, but I just think that the SEC is missing something if you don't bring Florida State into the conference.
I see what you're saying. I think the SEC right now, Greg Sankey is trying to be calculated because if you bring Florida State in, you can't just bring. It's got to be another team with them. You're not gonna. I don't think you'd have a 17. I could be wrong here, but I think you're bringing in teams of 2. So it's not. It wouldn't just be Florida State. It would have to be either Clemson, North Carolina. Is that really like if you bring Florida State and you're saying, okay, let's bring in Clemson, for example, with them, or North Carolina. Yeah, that would strengthen your league, but I mean, I don't know how much better adding Florida State and another team makes them as opposed to what they already are right now. I think it'd be great for them. Look, I'm not saying it wouldn't, but with the SEC right now, you're already adding Texas and Oklahoma. You've got Alabama, you've got Georgia, you've got Tennessee, Ole Miss, Missouri. You've got teams like Ole Miss and Missouri that are all of a sudden 12-team playoff teams now. I think that has changed it. The middle of the SEC, typically, we're used to, because this 12-team playoff has changed it. The way you look at it as a whole, I think. So I don't know. I think the SEC's fine.
Oh, I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying in the broad picture of whatever it is the SEC is attempting to do, and I realize TV is a big piece of this.
Yeah.
But is Missouri honestly a more desirable asset than Florida State?
No, not to me. Not at all.
I kind of beg to differ. Missouri right now, I mean, that's a playoff contending team. And Florida State, I think Butch was kind of overhyping them. I think they're going to be good.
No, now, wait a minute. Superman overhyping his product? Come on.
But let's not act like Florida State is what they used to be. I mean, yeah, they had a really good year last year, and they had a tough luck with injury. They probably would have been in the playoff. But now you lose Travis, you lose Coleman, you lose Johnny Wilson. You lose everything, basically that you were kind of leaning on last year. Now you bring DJU in. Yeah, he had a good year at Oregon State.
Yeah, I'm not buying. I'm not buying him.
He's not a proven commodity. So I don't know. I don't know that Missouri and Florida State are as different as we might think. They're at least right now. I mean, Missouri, they were right there with Georgia, one possession. I mean,
but it's Missouri. It's Missouri, Billy. I mean, let's be honest.
But last year they were a top 10 team.
I get it, but it's Missouri. Like I know that we got people watching the show. Like we got people watching the show, but I've said this multiple times. I still don't feel like Missouri just doesn't resonate in my mind of being an SEC squad. If you think about, and I know they are, I get it. I totally get it. But like Florida State being in the SEC, it makes sense. Like Missouri never made sense to me. I get it. Where they're at right now, Missouri's, they're pretty good. But like if you look back in the annals of history and college football, Florida State, you don't think about Missouri and the Missouri Tigers. You think about the Florida State Seminoles. Sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, let's face it. This is a new. We got a 12-team playoff. It's not a 2-team national title anymore. We're not. I mean, everything's changed from when Florida State was last in it. Really, what was that year when they were in the national title against Auburn? I mean, think about how
12.
Think about how much it's changed just since then.
And it's a 10-year.
And then 98. So, look, they're still a perennial top 10, top 15 team, I think, in what Norvell has done. But Missouri, especially with their NIL stuff in that state, they've got some advantages that some states don't. I just think in the NIL era, you got to think a little differently. Even if a program doesn't have a ton of tradition, Missouri can still compete. And they may not be as good as they were last year, but I thought the same thing you did, Kelly. Before last season, what they did last year, I was like you. I said, Missouri's Missouri. They're kind of a bottom type feeder, bottom half. But I don't know. Last season changed a lot for me. It could be a one-hit wonder.
But can Missouri sustain what they did last year, or is Florida State? Florida State has, it's all about what you want, Billy. Like Florida State is a football. It's not like we talked about. It's not a powerhouse. It hadn't been a powerhouse, but it's starting to get that feel a little bit. But they put money into that program. Is Missouri going to be able to sustain that? I think Florida State
fair.
could.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I just think I'm going off what last year proved. And maybe they can't. It's going to be hard.
And they were good.
They were really good.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Really
let me ask this. In the new world order that none of us know what the hell any of it means, what are these conferences trying to achieve? Is it 3 superpowers of 24? Is it 4 superpowers of 18? Because if it's not, I'm asking the question, why would the SEC pitch Florida State to the Big Ten when clearly from a geographic deal makes a whole lot more sense in the SEC? So, y'all tell me, what is it the SEC really wants long term, or do they even know? There was the answer, by the way. Or do
that's
they
what
even
I was
know?
that's what I was just thinking. Like, do they even know? Like, I think people in this era of this conference realignment stuff are kind of feeling their way. And I'm not sure that they know, George. I'm really not. I think it's like when something happens and it presents an opportunity, maybe they jump on that opportunity. But I'm not sure that it's set in stone right now that they've got, well, we want Florida State, we want Clemson, or we don't care if they go. I mean, I think, and I've told you this and you guys this, but like this new era of college football, like the Vanderbilt, the Texas Techs, all these other schools, like there's only going to be so many teams that can win a national championship because of money. I mean, I don't know. It may be 10 teams. It may be the Georgias, I don't even know Alabama's. I mean, it's important down there, but you just lost the greatest coach ever. So you've got the UTs of the world, Michigan, Ohio States, those teams like that, the USCs of the world, they're going to be there because they've got the money. But where does that leave everybody else?
But really, hasn't it always been that way, and we just haven't wanted to admit it?
Absolutely, it has totally, and we're just now coming to the conclusion that it's always been like this, whether we believed it or not. You're going to get a TCU sneak in every now and then, or something like that. But if you look at the college playoff, it's always been these big time teams that it's really important in their state, in their organizations, at their school, and they're not scared to spend money, and the boosters are not scared to spend the money.
Yeah, I mean, does any commissioner know what the crap they're doing right now? Does any head coach know? Fans don't know. College sports is a mess right now.
Sankey acts like he's more in control than most
really
of them. Well, he's got a lot of advantages going in.
Compared to everyone else, he is.
Yeah, but it's not because of him.
Yeah.
Look, now getting Oklahoma and Texas.
You got to give him credit for that, though.
Sure,
I was going to say, that's what started all this.
Even though I hate it because I think it has caused such a mess all over college athletics.
Was that a mistake, or was he ahead of the game? Was that eventually going to happen?
He was ahead of the game, but if any, and this sounds pretty Pollyannish, if there is such a word.
What is that?
If you're worried about the good of the game, I mean, it has caused more crap than any move in college athletics history.
Agreed.
Has it not?
It has.
And they always use the excuse of, hey, we're doing it for the kids, but when you're taking USC and they've got to play Rutgers next year, you're not really doing it for the kid.
Yeah.
UCLA, they got to play Michigan State, they got to get on a trip, and then next week they got to go somewhere else on the East Coast. That's not really taking care of the kid. Let's be honest. It's all about, as we talk about, it's all about
that. The narrow, the cakes, the cabbage.
But in reality, would that have eventually happened? If Sankey would have said, like in conversation, said, no, we're not adding Oklahoma and Texas. We're sticking with 14.
A great question.
Is there a commissioner out there that eventually
would
whether
have
it's Oklahoma
lapped
or
them
Texas?
up? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never know. But I do think there's
They might have
kinda-
gone to the Pac-12 and saved Kliakov or whatever his
George
name is.
Kliavkov?
Yeah, his might have saved his job.
Man, I don't know if there's been a period. Has there ever been more movement in college athletics in the last 3-4 years?
Let me tell you what's coming, though. Okay, because you remember when the SEC had that big announcement show
for the
on
schedule?
ESPN for the schedule?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the next day I came out and gave you a list of teams that have got these Godzilla 4-week periods.
Yeah.
Now, it'll probably work out okay because in the playoff system, 3 losses might have you right on the edge of it.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of teams that are used to 11-1 who are going to find the new world order is not as pretty.
Well, and they're going to a 9-game conference schedule here soon. So
I just read an article talking about Texas and how they feel like that they can go in from day one and start ruling the SEC because they've spent so much money.
You know, I think there's a little truth to that. Number one, Nick Saban's retired. I'm not saying.
Yep.
So because look, they've got the money. They've got more money than they know what the crap to do with. And
J.R. Ewing wannabes.
What's the most important thing?
There's a bunch.
What's the most important thing you got to have in college sports right now?
You have to have this, apparently.
So I don't know, Kelly. That's another topic we can probably debate. Can Texas walk in here and run the conference?
Hey, that's what Steve Sarkisian. I just read that article, man. Steve Sarkisian said after last year when he got put out by Washington, he said he sits up all night. That's what he wants. He wants one, and he says we can get it. We can go into the SEC and we can start dominating right now because they've got they've got a bunch of players from this NIL stuff and the transfer portal they brought in. They've got the kid from they got 2 kids from Alabama. He feels like that they're well suited to make a run at this thing right off the bat.
What's going to surprise him?
They're in a lot better shape than they were 3 years ago.
They are. They are. But what's going to surprise him is what Watson always talks about. And if he was on the show right now, he would be saying this. It's not the first game. It's that 3rd, 4th game of that gauntlet you were talking about.
So then this becomes this?
Yes. You're going to see a lot of that.
Wow.
We'll see.
Texas A&M. Mark your calendar.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that'll be a brutal. That'll be a Donnybrook right there.
I forget when that is, but
they hate each other.
God, when's the last time they played?
There's a lot of hate.
Texas A&M is pissed too because they're going to the SEC and they can't recruit those kids because the SEC was a strong point for them when they were really kids. Well, we play in the SEC. Texas doesn't. They play in the Big 12. Now they can't say that.
No, and I think they also are pissed that they didn't know what was really going on.
Yeah.
Remember Ross Bjork, who just left to go to Ohio
he said,
State?
I'm out of here now.
Well, remember he said Texas will get in over my dead body.
As soon as they did, he said, I might need to be getting out of here.
I'm going left. Okay, after the break, we'll have stat of the day, and then we'll get into a weekend of SEC basketball that saw Kentucky mangle Auburn. Who thought it'd be like that? Secondly, Alabama ripped into A&M, who more and more feels like a team that might end up in Dayton. And then Tennessee beat Vanderbilt by biblical proportions, begging the question, when? When are we getting Jerry out of here? Stay tuned. We're coming back.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Top of the hour on a Reaction Monday. Getting ready to talk some SEC hoops. But first, John English, Antique Sports and Cards, brings us stat of the day. You can find them out there in Shelbyville. They're open Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5 and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what Matthews got cooked up. I think we're going NHL. The NHL announced this weekend that the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to host next year's Stadium Series, and they will become the 30th NHL team to do so, or to appear in that outdoor game. Who are the only other two NHL teams that have never appeared in an outdoor game? Whew.
Oh, wow. Well,
the Predators played in one?
They've played in two. Played in Dallas, and then I froze my fanny off in the upper deck at Nissan 2 years ago. One of the coldest nights I have ever spent. Whew.
But there's a difference between the Stadium Series and the Winter Classic.
Oh.
So the Winter Classic is basically
yeah, but that's not what he said. He said to appear in an outdoor game.
Okay, so I guess I could be wrong there.
Okay.
And I wonder if he means specifically Stadium Series or Outdoor Classic, which is basically the same thing. They just
I don't know.
It.
I'm not a mind reader.
Yeah, tell Matthew to be more specific next time.
No, it might be a really long question. Let's go. I don't ever remember the Montreal Canadiens being in one of these, although I could be dead wrong.
Oh, God, they had to be in
I know. But Seattle's been in one, even though they've only been in the league a couple of years. I don't know if Vegas.
Vegas, yeah.
Let's go Vegas and Montreal. What the hell?
Incorrect.
Well, that's wonderful.
Florida Panthers. Gosh.
Florida
I
Panthers.
was going to say the Florida Panthers. I was going to say the Florida Panthers just because it was Florida. I was trying to think of a warm weather team. Should have gone with my instincts.
Would that be possible?
Would what be possible?
To play down there in Florida, outdoor, because even if you try, I guess you'd have to try to play it.
Because it appears the answer looks like two of the warmest weather climates.
And so I think
I want to, go back to the question. I think the answer is a cold weather versus warm weather. I'm going Arizona and the Florida Panthers.
All right, let's check it. There we go.
It's a miracle.
Nice,
it's
George.
A miracle.
I like the way you did that.
Yes, thank you. Okay, are we now into the 3 o'clock hour?
We are.
Okay. I want you, Billy, if you can. Now, you may not have it.
I do.
Okay. Put the SEC standings up.
Oh, standings.
Standings.
Okay, I don't have that.
Okay. That's wonderful. Let's do this. Right now.
You never said, to be fair, to have that ready.
Yeah, tell him, Billy.
I've got Lenardi's seeds here. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, you said standings.
Those are the standings.
These are the teams that are going to make the tournament.
No, but those are the standings in the SEC.
Yeah, but where's every other team? I thought you.
Those are the 9.
Those are the cans. The other ones are the cannots.
Exactly. The others are the ones that'll bow out on Wednesday.
Exactly.
Okay. So you've got Alabama right now, number 1, Tennessee number 2, and a South Carolina dropping. But let's go to what I think is the real development. The rumors of the Kentucky funeral, of which I participated a little bit,
better back up,
have been grossly exaggerated, because I'm telling you, they put on a Final Four performance Saturday night. They didn't just win at Auburn. They kicked Auburn's butt.
Sure did. They sure did. And
something better out there, Kelly, about Kentucky than what we've been seeing.
Man, I think I was going to say that because I knew we were going to talk about this today, but I don't think you can count Kentucky out. They're young. They've got some young dudes. They've got some freshmen playing, and they're really good. And the other day at Auburn, they played defense. And that's what we've all talked about has been their weak point is defense. They've got a really good offensive team that can play with anybody, can score with anybody, but defensively they can't stop anybody. And then the other day, they did. So if they start playing on the defensive side of the ball and these young kids figure, hey, we just went into Auburn who'd won so many games in a row at home, and we beat those guys because we played good defense. If they can get that through their heads, we've got a great offensive team. Man, they can go far in the playoffs. And I think somebody said, Calipari said that he feels that they can make a run at this thing if they play good defense like they did the other night.
Billy, could we make the argument there are not more than about 5 teams in the country that could go to Auburn and win?
I think you're right on that. I couldn't believe what Kentucky did. I mean, they guarded for the first time. I mean, they hadn't guarded like that all season. And they go into Auburn Arena and do that. But I'll say this. You got this matchup at LSU is going to be tricky. LSU's a better team than their record.
You're saying Kentucky at LSU.
Yes, this
week. Which
is
when?
Wednesday night.
Okay.
At LSU. And, LSU doesn't have a ton to play for. That's a game you can't go lose. Kelly, you said that, that you think they can make a run. The tournament's about being consistent. You got those first 2 games, that first weekend. That's the question with Kentucky. We know how good they are, but they haven't really been able to string anything together this season. So this is going to prove to me at LSU, okay, is their mind right? Are they really back per se? Because, what they did against Auburn was unbelievable.
Okay, Kelly, you want a bold prediction?
Tell me.
Look at the bottom 3 teams on that list. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, A&M.
Mm-hmm.
One of the 3 will end up being invited to Dayton.
You think so?
Oh yeah, yeah. They're all three of them are teetering.
Yeah.
Ole Miss. Well, I'm going to go with that one. One of those three is going to end up in the play-in game in Dayton.
I would buy that. This Ole Miss Mississippi State game this week, the winner of that
in Starkville
could be that team, because both of them are
the
kind
loser could be that.
So you're saying you're saying all these teams are getting in?
Who knows? But what I'm saying is, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Texas A&M. One of the three will end up in the play-in game in Dayton. Will not be able to prove to the committee we're worthy without this.
Yeah.
Now, think about it. SEC's been in the play-in game before. Vandy's been in it. Tennessee made a deep run after being in Dayton. I know I'm missing a team or two that probably has been. Anyway.
Mississippi State last year.
Were they?
Yeah.
Let's go back to Kentucky, because, Kelly, I'm like you. I saw something totally different Saturday. I saw a team that you have to put in that group of, are they a Final Four contender? When they play like that, they are.
And the Dillingham kid, too, was in foul trouble, so he didn't play as much as he normally plays. And he's a phenomenal scorer. But, like, in that game, you always expected and I'm sure y'all were sitting there watching the same thing, because Auburn is really good at home, and you always expected them to get it close. But, like, I don't think they ever got it close. I'm not mistaken, because I watched the game. I don't remember them ever making it, like when Kentucky shot out, they would get it, they would get somewhat close, but they never made it interesting. Never made it interesting in their home gym. That was a big win for Kentucky.
Listen, I don't pretend to know what went on internally. I don't doubt college basketball game day was there, and it was a big old Auburn love fest. Okay. Yeah. It's possible those kids saw that and really got pissed off. Hey, nobody's giving us a shot. In case you're wondering, we're Kentucky. We always have a shot. I mean, they played with a real chip on their shoulder. And the thing is, we haven't seen enough of that. But now we've seen it enough for Calipari to walk into that locker room and say to them, don't give me your B game. I want the Auburn game.
Yeah, and we've seen that so many times, especially at the college level, where there is all this hype, for you, whether it's game day or all week. And as an 18, 22-year-old kid, you start to think about that. I mean, especially now. And then if you're Kentucky, you combine that with how tough and well they played. Auburn just looked a little tight. They couldn't get their crowd into it. They never really. I mean, they were loud, but I mean, they just never took over the game. They never were a factor. There was never that barrage of a 12-2 run that ended up winning the game. So yeah, it just felt like Auburn was a little too tight.
Yeah, but what's surprising?
Jay Billis even talked about that, George, on the broadcast. Said they've taken the fans totally out of the game, and they did. They just played so good that they took everybody out of it.
What's surprising is Auburn has been the loosey-goosey team all year.
Yeah.
And Kentucky hit them early, jumped up 10 in the first, 5-6 minutes? And from that point on, it was over.
Yeah.
I'm sure that most of you watching this thought at some point Auburn would make a big run.
I did too.
That's what shocked me, is that Auburn never could make a run where you said, uh-oh, here they come.
Yeah.
Man, huge win for Kentucky.
My question was, where has this defense been all season? Why are we just getting this kind of Kentucky defense?
Somebody got through to him. Coach got through to him saying, if you want to win big, you got everything you need on the offensive side of the ball. But if you want to win a national championship, you better learn how to play defense.
We'll see. They got to stay consistent. Like I said, if they can't string together, you're going to see a 6 or a 7 seed. But if you can really string some together here, you could be a 4, but I don't think a 3, but 4 or a 5, which would help a lot.
Game number 2 we're going to talk about. Bama at home trashed A&M. Now, A&M has been, to me, one of the real disappointments in the league. Arkansas being the biggest disappointment. You say, well, what about Vandy? Well, anybody who saw them early knew this was the way it was going to be. A&M's got a suspect resume. It's got this big win over Tennessee. It's got a great backcourt player. But, I mean, you can't go to Alabama and get trashed.
No.
And they did.
Yeah, they did. And then they had a bad – you talk about a good win against Tennessee, but they had a bad loss against, Vanderbilt. So
yeah, the Vandy loss totally neutered.
Right.
And
everything
then
they did.
Yeah, the Van, at the end of the year when you put them up there, bad loss, and it'll be in capital letters, Vandy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they're playing a really good basketball team at the University of Alabama. That coach, he knows how to coach those kids. That Sears kid, I didn't realize. I thought Dalton Connect was the leader, but the Sears kid, the Mark Sears kid, is leading in points per game. And then they got that big tall white kid. What's his name? Nelson? Is that what it is?
Nelson.
Yeah, that kid can play, man. I mean, they're a tough out. There's no question.
That's the 8th time they've put up 100 points this year.
Which in this day and age of college basketball is remarkable. So let me ask this, because to me, there's also a pressure around the Alabama program. When they had all the stuff flying a year ago around Brandon Miller, they fizzled in the Sweet 16, and all of a sudden I can't even remember who beat them. But
San Diego State
beat the snot out of them.
They did.
Isn't there a pressure on Alabama's program to make a deep run?
I don't know. I think because of last year, a lot of the pressure's off. Because last year, they were the number 1 overall seed. You got Brandon Miller. Everybody's saying this is a team that better be in the Final Four. Now, what are they, a 3 seed, I think, right now in Lenardi? Now it's kind of like, okay, some of the pressure's off. There's still going to be pressure. But I kind of go the other way and say they can use last year as a chip on their shoulder. They're a different style team, and they can outscore anybody. So, I don't know. There's always pressure, though.
90 points a game. That's pretty good, man. That's what they're averaging. That's unbelievable. They can score the basketball.
If you watch them, the way they get it up and down the floor, even on a make, and I heard some stat that their 3-point attempts per game are ridiculous, but because they can make a lot of them. So they're going to get the threes up.
Okay, now let's get to the last one. What was different about Vandy getting trashed in Knoxville was Jerry Stackhouse just sitting there through 2 huge, long, biblical kind of runs. No timeout, no nothing. Just sat there. Now, in watching it, I came away with one word: disinterested. Why would a head coach be disinterested? And this has spawned a bunch of Vandy people's rumors that Stackhouse is aware that they want to buy him out, or has been made aware that they want to buy him out. Let me say this. I can't substantiate, if that is a word, substantiate any of this. Do I think there's something going on? Yeah, I do. He looked so disinterested Saturday, rarely got off that bench, and just sat there and did whatever.
Nothing.
Looked like his give a crap meter is gone.
That's
really what it looks like. I mean, that's what it looks like. I mean, he's normally up, and I don't know if he's ever engaged, because I don't know if that's his facial, his prowess or whatever. I don't know, but he's usually up coaching. But like I heard a football coach a long time ago. He walked into a staff meeting and he said, Yeah, he didn't say this word, but he said, my give a crap meter is gone. I'm out of here, fellas. And he walked out in the middle of the season. So that just seems kind of what it feels like to me. And George, when I was watching the game, I'm kind of like you. It was kind of like UT has got so much more physical talent than Vanderbilt does. I know the two guards for Vanderbilt are pretty good players, but like other than that, it seemed like UT was toying with those guys, and that's kind of a sad situation from where Vanderbilt has been to where they are at right now. It's just not good.
Yeah, that was a good example of where the two programs are. Tennessee, top 5 team of the country, and Rick Barnes has built them and turned them into the polar opposite of what Jerry Stackhouse has done at Vanderbilt. He has no player retention, and we've talked about this. The give a crap meter. I mean, Rick Barnes, you talk about giving a crap and his culture. That's what Vanderbilt should want. A guy that cares and a guy that will go out there and just have his guys play hard. A lot of times we have complimented Stackhouse for his players playing hard. But on Saturday, it's easy to see when a basketball coach is disinterested. We talked about at Arkansas, Kelly, with Musselman. It's easy to other sports, it's like you can hide it maybe here or there, but basketball, it is easy to tell when a coach doesn't care and he doesn't care.
It's the problem now is this is the second time in about a 2-week period that this has happened. Here against Kentucky, when Kentucky came out lights out, Vandy's kids just retreated in the second half, played with no interest. Kentucky had something like 10 dunks in the second half. Saturday, you got a coach that looked completely disinterested, and that has spawned a bunch of rumors today that something is going on. Now, all of this said, I'm going to go back to what I've been mouthing off for a while now. I'm going to assume that Candace Lee is a smart lady, the athletic director at Vandy. I'm going to assume that she's smart enough to know that this is a disgrace and that she will end it at some point. But I will also throw out the caveat. If Jerry Stackhouse is allowed to return for a 6th year, ultimately at some point down the road, it will cost her job. I believe that.
Yeah, I mean,
It could. They're really bad. I mean, I said a couple of weeks ago, it was like my program up here watching football game, man. Everybody was apathetic. Nobody cared. And that's what it seems like now at Vanderbilt. And it's just, you two guys are Vanderbilt guys. I remember growing up watching basketball, Vandy basketball, and the pride, the tradition that they had in it. They would fill that Memorial Stadium, which is an unbelievable place to watch a basketball game. But right now, nobody cares. And as an AD, I think you have to look at that and you have to say, we've got to get this thing going again. And this is obviously not the right guy.
Yeah, it just feels like after that Tennessee game, there was a different feel. We've all heard stuff. There's been rumors out there. And I think all that's left now, like you said, George, is win. I mean, we're not talking anymore of if, because I think, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, we were still kind of talking, this should happen. This is something that probably should happen. I think now we're a little bit of, okay, this week, anything going to go down? Tournament time? I think we're just talking timing now from the feel of it. Could be wrong.
It does feel like it's now just timing.
Yeah.
But again, I don't have anything to substantiate. I will throw this out here that's really weird. Yesterday, Ohio State, having gotten rid of their head coach, beat Purdue.
Beat Purdue,
okay,
yeah.
You saw it. The interim coach
Diebler
was on Vandy's staff under Bryce Drew, Jake Diebler. Diebler is a guy that gets a lot of credit for the recruitment of Darius Garland, who ultimately, bless his heart, only got to play, I think, 5 or 6 games at Vandy before he got hurt. I don't think Diebler's getting the Ohio State job. The names I keep hearing start with Sean Miller at Xavier, McDermott at Creighton, and there's one more, and I'm having a senior moment. Those are the ones you hear. Yeah. But Jake Diebler forced himself to be looked at when he beat Purdue.
How about that?
How about that?
Ohio State hadn't done really anything all year, and then they go and beat Purdue, first game out of their interim coach. That tells me that Diebler can lead those guys, because Holtman left, or he didn't leave. They fired him.
He pushed some buttons that got something.
Exactly, and you're not playing Sisters of the Poor. You're playing Purdue. So that's Diebler saw that as an opportunity to I'm gonna go out coach this guy and coach my butt off. Credit to him.
I've seen that so many times, though, when a head coach is just like, guys get tired of listening to him. Guys get tired of him talking, and then a new guy comes in there. He brings a new vibe. He brings some energy to the deal, and guys just start playing. And that's what happened.
Do you mention, if you're Diebler, and it's maybe a little personal, but do you mention anything about Holtman to those guys, saying, hey, look?
I don't know.
You obviously don't get personal, but I think to fire those guys up, you do kind of say, hey, this is different now.
See, here's what we don't know. We don't know what the vibe is in the Ohio State locker room. We think we know, Billy, what the vibe is in the Vandy one. And frankly, it's not very good. I think most of them privately would be goodbye and good riddance.
Yeah.
I thought George and guys, I thought he might get fired after the game, because that's an in-state rival. And they, like you say, they got beat by biblical proportions the other night. And it like the talent on the floor is not even close to UT's talent now. And that you got to look at that. We got to look. Yeah, you have to look at that and say, as an AD, they're going upward and we're going downward. And you have to look at that. You have to be cognizant of everybody in your program, the fans. The fans are what brings, they bring money into this situation. And the way that college ball is now with football and basket, everything with its NIL stuff, if you can't do that, you don't have a guy that can do that, you got to move on and go get somebody that can.
And one more thing, this isn't the freaking Vandy podcast or anything, but I think we've been tracking this and timing this pretty nicely. When did we, after the Presbyterian game,
Is
George?
Is this a snowstorm?
No, I'm just saying we have followed this. We have followed this. It's not like we just started talking about Stackhouse's security a month ago. We started this after the Presbyterian game. My question is, did the athletic department do the same? I don't think they did. And is that holding them back now? Or are they just now kind of starting with these contract negotiations with the buyout? Because that's what I would put $100,000 on. That's what's happening right now. That's why he hasn't been fired yet, because they're still negotiating the buyout.
I'd like to see that $100,000. After the break, studs and duds, fairly predictable. Stick around.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Ah, yes. Studs and duds.
We ready?
Let me guess them.
We are.
All right. What do you think is the first stud, Kelly?
It's got to be the Kentucky Auburn game. Am I correct?
Kentucky's one of them. Now, look, I don't do it in an order of studliness or dudliness. I put Ohio State's in there. Okay,
that's probably the biggest one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Number 2.
I'm always missing
numero
I'm always missing
dos.
one of them for some reason.
If you'll hit your SAP button, numero dos.
You'll have to just say it.
Bama. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Number
Bama.
3, I believe, is now the best team in the country by a considerable margin. All of a sudden, in the last 2 to 3 weeks, UConn has started to distance themselves.
Yep.
That's unbelievable. Like, to have a national title winning team last year, but you got to remember they were a 4 seed. So they weren't, they weren't really expected to do that.
They're not going to be a 4 seed this time.
No, I think there's a good chance they repeat.
I agree.
And 4th on your Studley list. Yeah. It got everybody's attention. I mean,
I think so.
All of a sudden, we're sitting there going, okay, now, do they show this every game? Who knows? But we know that somewhere in there is a Final Four kind of feel.
I agree.
Now to the duds.
The dudliest. Oh, unwatchable.
Get it out of here.
I agree.
Get it out of here.
Just axe it. Hey, was the stadium? Did y'all? I mean, I know George didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. Billy, did you see any of it?
No.
Did they have anybody? Obviously, the stands were. Was it full?
I heard they paid people to be there.
No. Indianapolis, good basketball town.
Cool. They had a boring night then.
Well, they probably did.
But they had this weird LED. I will say I saw some highlights. They had like an LED. I don't know what that court was. Did you see that? What they did with the.
Didn't watch.
Okay, I watched Shawshank Redemption.
That's one of the great ones too, George. That's one of them movies when it's always on, you have to watch.
You got to watch.
Yeah, after Kentucky Auburn, it was there was no late primetime. There were still some games on. But
I'm talking about yesterday.
Oh, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the dunk contest.
Let's continue with the duds. Really? truthfully, that
could
have been about
worse.
a 50, 60-point margin if
Yeah.
Barnes had not brought the JV squad in with 12 minutes left.
Well, and the thing is, it was awful basketball the last about 12 minutes because Stack did the same thing, which I thought was kind of stupid. Why do you not try to – Barnes has his second teamers in,
I don't know.
Stack goes, okay, I'm going to do the same. Okay, now we're watching, JV basketball.
He might not want everybody to know truly that I am so down in talent that UT's second group can beat my first group. That might be why he done it.
And finally,
that could have been 130 to.
Interesting take there.
Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They had 2 losses.
People are starting to wonder. They blew a 15-point lead in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I knew they weren't as good as they're still good, but I knew they weren't, elite.
Well, they were 21-3. Good Lord.
We had a comment, which I think it's a pretty good one. Jeff said they've played Grand Canyon, Winthrop, USC Upstate, and Yosemite Sam and the Great Smoky Mountains in the non-conference. Their non-conference was easily the easiest in the SEC, so they kind of got a head start.
Now, they haven't played the rematch game with Kentucky. They smoked Kentucky in Columbia.
Kentucky's going to hammer them at Rupp.
Probably so.
Rupp just
but that's sort of what got
Ruptures.
South Carolina on the map was when they took Kentucky behind the woodshed. And then there's Tricky Ricky. Having any fun?
Little Ricky.
They don't listen to me. Ricky was pissed.
He was so mad after the game.
Oh, he was furious.
What is your comment about Larry Bird?
Not walking through that door.
He's learning.
Where's Walter McCarty?
He's learning that Big East is tough.
Yeah. He didn't look very happy yesterday because he stayed pretty quiet throughout most of it, and then exploded in the postgame.
I mean, he just ripped into the administration. He ripped into their
facility. What all did he say? Oh, really?
Now, I didn't hear the facilities part.
He said they have shitty facilities.
And he just that's got to be $100 fine, George, for bringing that up.
It may be more than that. Okay, Kelly, while you were gone, your director ripped off 5 in a row.
What?
Yes.
Did you really?
I sure did. 5-0. But now we get to the weekend that I don't think was 5-0.
Bart Durham Injury Law gives us bet of the day. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. Here we go. Let's check out what happened over the weekend. Tennessee covered. South Carolina did not. New Mexico did not. And Auburn did not.
But you can see the 5 in a row had us right there.
So you could have gotten up above 500 this weekend.
And tonight, we will move a step closer to the cherished 500 mark. Yes. Virginia Tech at home, taking a mediocre Virginia, a Virginia that never scores. Don't get me wrong. Virginia Tech's not God's gift to hoops either. Over under 112.
Take the under.
Maybe. Okay, we're done, aren't we?
Yep.
I got one question for you. Did you do the deal? Did you structure the deal with Vanderbilt to bring the kid from New Mexico State here?
Diego Pavia? Well, I sure talked about him
George
enough.
paid for his NIL deal.
I sure talked.
Did you pay for it, George?
No, I did not. But
I can't believe that you paid. Yeah, I can't believe that you've talked about that kid all year, and now he's coming to Nashville.
He comes to Vandy, and there's no talk about him.
No, nothing at all, George. You let him down.
Been some.
No.
There's been a little bit.
Diego
Billy, you need to just,
Pavia.
by the time the show's over, you need to wash your mouth out.
Hey, Mom's going to after the show.
She
when
should.
he goes home.
She absolutely should.
I agree.
That's not the first time you've had somebody. I
mean, the S word has never come out before.
Yeah, right.
No, it has not.
I was trying to figure out how to say it without saying it, and I couldn't figure
Crappy.
it out.
George, did he puff his chest out? Did he puff his chest out when he did it?
I don't know. We'll see if he's back tomorrow. It's up in the air.
Hopefully HR doesn't
Hey,
email me.
he crossed the line of being a child to manhood, dude, in 1 second. It's awesome.
Great. We're done. Aloha. See you tomorrow.
See you.